Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of NTT, I would like to welcome you to the second part of the Frankfurt World Conference. My name is Volker Ludwig and I'm part of NTT's Global Data Centers division. We operate more than 160 data centers globally, and today we host this virtual event with Mayor Peter Feldman here at our Frankfurt One campus, which is one of the most connected data centers in the world. Data centers play a key role as they are part of the digital infrastructure we are all using, in particular in COVID-19 times. I really look forward to the conversation we are having now and to understand how the partner cities of Frankfurt are doing in these times, and I hope these situations are improving in your cities. With that, I would like to hand over to Stefan Söhngen, who is our co-host today and representing the Newcomers Network. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Volker Ludwig. Newcomers, Frankfurt, city of newcomers. We are happy to stay connected with you somewhere out there in the world, with the center of Central Europe, with Frankfurt in the heart of Europe. No other city in Germany has probably such international structures as Frankfurt has. Our inhabitants, they come from all over the world. Everybody's welcome in Frankfurt. In COVID-19 times, it's a little bit hard because we can't meet people. We can't have parties. We can't have meetings, networking events. Can't visit our friends abroad and can't welcome them here. We would like to go back to the old times where you could do that. In the meantime, we are happy to be co-host of this networking event, of this short conference with you out there, together with Lord Mayor Feldman, with Volker Ludwig, and we would like to stay connected with all partners all over the world. Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us.
Ja, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, herzlich willkommen zu unserer
Ladies and gentlemen, my cordial welcomes to our little World Conference here. It's great that in the coronavirus epidemic time we can still meet here in this way. Thank you very much to NTT Data Centers for making this possible, and for Frankfurt Newcomers. You both symbolize Frankfurt's marvelous international reach with 189 different countries here and over 200 different languages. This morning we had a first part of the conference talking with our colleagues from Guangzhou, our partner city in China, and from Birmingham, our partner city in England. And we gained our first impressions and interacted on how these cities are coping, how we are coping. It's marvelous that you're with us today, Mrs. Howard, Signora Beria, and of course Mr. Çakırözer from Eskişehir, our partner city in Turkey. We have marvelous links to Eskişehir, and we wish to talk with the three of you about the same topics again. So in addition to welcoming you, I wish to hear from you first, how are you personally, how the situation is in your particular city, what your own impression is going forward, and I would therefore like to just go straight into the question session, and I would like to be polite and start with the ladies first and start with you, Mrs. Howard. How are you personally, and how is Philadelphia coping in the coronavirus pandemic?
Good morning. It's morning here, so good morning everyone from Philadelphia. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much. I think this opportunity it's so important to connect with all of our international partners. And I apologize for my technical difficulties. You can see me, but I cannot see you. From a personal level, I'm doing well. it has been a difficult few months. The city of Philadelphia has already seen a very large impact to our fiscal budget. And so we have had to make some difficult choices in terms of our budget and personnel, and already have had to lay off some employees from the city. So that has been very, very difficult. But from a personal level, spending more time with family, and learning new things about myself. So thank you for having me today.
Frau Beria, Mailand war in den
Signora Beria, Milan hit the headlines at the beginning with lots of news on the corona crisis. We received a letter from you with a question as to putting you into contact with the health authorities here and in the state of Hessen, and a request for support for your foundation. I do hope this all happened and that the contacts reached you and reached out to you. I'm therefore all the more interested to hear how are things with you yourself and your city of Milan.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. We're really happy to join in, especially because this year Milan and Frankfurt celebrate their 50th anniversary, which is a very long time, and a testimony of the strong links between the two cities that have so many things in common. As you were mentioning before, we are open cities composed by people coming from everywhere. We feel very international, and the spirit of city-to-city collaboration is really part of the DNA of the cities, as I'm sure also with the other cities that are sharing the sistership and are present today. Thank you for your question. As you certainly know, Milan was the first very hard-hit city in Europe. It feels like a very long time ago, and it's just a few months. We are doing much better now. The shock was very profound. We felt that it was
Frau Beria, wir können Sie im Augenblick nicht.
Signora Beria, we can't hear you at the moment, I'm afraid.
Können wir Sie bitten, noch mal zu gucken, ob Ihre.
Could you please just check whether your electronic connection is up and running? We can see you, a little chopped the image, but your face is there, but please try again to speak, see if we can get the line going again. We understood you as far as talking about how profound things were, and then we lost you.
Möchten Sie noch mal einen Versuch machen? Wir können auch vielleicht.
You want to try once again? We are trying to see whether everything's okay at our end. It seems to be.
Okay. Sorry about this, Lord Mayor. I was about to say that, of course, we were hardest hit, and it was a very shocking experience, but we bounced back quite quickly, and we dealt with measures to keep on granting the same level of efficiency in city services to our citizens. We were helped by many friends, city friends around the world, of course by Frankfurt and all that you said, the spirit of collaboration, the support, linking us with your health professionals, contributing with a much appreciated donation to our mutual aid fund, that were all celebrations of our good city-to-city relationship. Thank you to you and to the citizens of Frankfurt.
Ich darf ganz herzlich Sie, Herrn Stadtverordneten Jacqueline Höser, begrüßen in unserer Runde. Vielen Dank, dass Sie teilnahmen. Es ist auch eine große Ehre für uns, dass jetzt direkt nach Ihrem Fastenmonat, dem Ramadan, auf dem
following hard on the heels of the Sheke Bayram and the Ramadan, I notice that you're now back fully at work. My wife instructed me to please convey my wishes to your Lord Mayor, who played such a strong part, active part in my marriage and strengthening the links between our two cities. I'm very, very grateful to him for his personal efforts in this regard. Please give him my greetings as you like to my Abi.
Lord Mayor Feldman, first of all, I would like to thank you very much for having us meet here, and good afternoon to all distinguished authorities of the distinguished cities of the world, and accept my condolences to your people who have passed away during this epidemic, and I wish you, all of us, health during this process. And Professor Yılmaz Büyükerşen, Lord Mayor, also sent his greetings to you and the other distinguished authorities from the distinguished municipalities. I mean, during this process, I mean, Eskişehir was one of the cities who earlier, in a very earlier time process, have sort of announced their own pandemic activity plan and started to train our staff about the very first precautions, even before the government has announced that the pandemic has sort of been active in Turkey. In very early March, we started to take precautions, and immediately we have sort of shut down our cultural centers, museums, sports centers, and all other indoor activities were cancelled before the first circular letter of the government. And our vocational and educational trainings, which thousands of citizens benefits, were also suspended. Just like you all did in your cities, we immediately started disinfection process in mass transportation vehicles, in municipal buildings and common public areas. Hand disinfectants were placed in our public transportation vehicles and municipal service units for citizens to use. And as the government declared lockdown for the citizens who are over 65 years old and people with chronic illnesses and disabilities, we set up a crisis desk to provide 24/7 service. This is very important because our crisis desk is on duty with over 200 people from the municipality every day of the week to meet the basic needs of the people who are over 65 years old and who have chronic illnesses and disabilities at their houses. People who lost their jobs or having economic difficulties because of this pandemic also contact this desk so that we provide them basic dry food needs for free. We are in contact with various kinds of chambers, unions, and NGOs to support their members' needs of surgical masks, disinfections, and dry food. Moreover, during the curfews at the weekends in all metropolitan cities, our service network to meet the basic needs of all citizens in Eskişehir continues to work. Besides, through this crisis desk, we provide services to those who need psychosocial support and dietitian services by our expert personnel over the phone. And also, as you know, I mean, within this period, we all once more realize the importance of our healthcare professionals and workers. They are, as you know, the true heroes in all countries in this period. In Eskişehir, we are trying to support them in every way we can, like providing free transportation, free accommodation in our guest house and in other hotels, and producing face shields for them in our science experiment center and surgical masks in our workshops. As you know, Eskişehir is actually a capital of culture, and Eskişehir citizens are really used to have a rich cultural life with lots of concerts, theaters, shows, exhibitions, and workshops. So we thought we had to do something to keep the citizens' spirits high during this term. We moved our culture and art archive to a digital platform. In this context, the most popular concerts of our Metropolitan Municipality Symphony Orchestra and the box office plays of our Metropolitan Municipality city theaters continue to meet the art lovers through social media. In addition, picture, cartoon, and storytelling competitions with the theme "Stay Home" are organized for our children and young people over the internet. If you ask, how Eskişehir people, Eskişehir citizens react to the pandemic, of course, the fear was the most common feeling, but with solidarity, we sort of overcome this fear, and people, we very much admire Eskişehir people for obeying the rules and the restrictions that are put forward by the government and also the local authorities. I think that is the main reason that Eskişehir has been one of the leading cities which had little amount of cases and less amount of death cases through this period.
Vielen Dank erstmal für Ihre Eindrücke.
Many thanks for your impressions for life in Philadelphia, Milan and Eskişehir. My impression is likewise that people as a whole are very disciplined in how they handle the situation, and that they've accepted that there was no need to stockpile, that it's important to always keep your mask with you, keep social distancing rules. And the feeling of solidarity has, I think, actually been strengthened by all this possibly and hasn't been weakened, and I find that very gratifying. Here in Frankfurt, children are now going to be able to go back to kindergarten next week. Some of the schools have already reopened. The zoo and the botanical gardens, the playgrounds, they have all reopened, which means parts of normal life have returned or are returning. But we do notice, for example, that shops or local transport change because everybody is wearing face masks. Certain events can't take place. And from the German viewpoint or the Frankfurt viewpoint, we sort of followed situation in New York, for example, or in Milan and in Turkey before the lockdown. We followed very closely what the national governments did. I'm specifically interested in what you would then say of yourselves that really touched me or moved me or was very important for me. Just one moment in your recently lives, something special that you would say, maybe this will be with me for my rest of my time, sort of memories that were really key to me. Have you experienced such moments?
Ich weiß nicht, wer anfangen mag.
Who would like to start?
Dann machen wir die gleiche Reihenfolge.
I can start from Milan, Lord Mayor, if you wish.
Bitte.
There are many memories. Some are very sad, and I would like to join colleagues saying that of course our condolences throughout Europe, throughout the world, go to the people that have lost their ones in this terrible tragedy. We had a high amount of deaths in our city and in our region, and of course we do share the sadness that this period brought about. But we also saw the people, as you were saying, being very disciplined, very attentive, very expressive solidarity to others. In a matter of a couple of days, just a bunch of hours, we were able to recruit a large number of volunteers that were able to bring food, medicines, and a supporting hand to the homes of the elderly, of the vulnerable people during the lockdown in Milan. This was a huge effort, but was made simple in a way by the large collaboration within the population. We did so with the people that needed help. We were able to mobilize tons and tons of food to be redistributed to make sure that nobody went hungry during the lockdown phase. And of course, this is a massive effort that will stay with us for the future. So the services will be upgraded with a more efficient and more collaborative approach. We feel this is one of the positive heritage of this awful crisis.
Lord Mayor, I'd be happy to go next. This is Sylvie from Philadelphia. So as you know, I'm the acting director of commerce, and one of the very impacted stakeholders were businesses, and particularly small businesses. And Philadelphia has a very, very large percentage of our businesses are small businesses. And we were able to stand up a program very, very quickly, more quickly than we ever would normally do, to support over 2,000 businesses with more than $13 million in small grants for relief. And I watched my colleagues work every hour of the day and every hour of the night, colleagues from all across the Department of Commerce that don't necessarily always work in this area, working on reviewing proposals and all of the upgrading the software and the system to be able to provide these grants to these businesses that otherwise might have closed. So that was very special for us.
Gibt es ähnliche Situationen, die Sie in...
Are there similar situations that you've noted in Eskişehir where you would say, this has really seared itself into my memory for all time?
Yeah, Lord Mayor, there are a couple of, but first I would like to mention that, you know, we have a soup kitchen. I assume you all have similar ones, and which provides food to more than 1,000 people each and every day. Needy people benefit from this soup kitchen. And unfortunately, I mean, in the very midst of this crisis, the government froze the accounts of soup kitchens in order to prevent the services of the opposition party municipalities. The moment which was touching for me was that when I visited as a parliamentarian, I visited to our soup kitchen, and I've seen that none of the people, I mean, street people, you know, these soup kitchens live by donations, and people were donating, but not money this time, but rather dry food to our soup kitchen. It was really a very touching moment for all of us, and the municipality kept on giving his service to all those poor people, homeless people, each and every day. Still, even today, more than 1,000 people benefit from this soup kitchen, despite the pressure and despite the freezing the accounts of these soup kitchens. And the second thing, as you in the very beginning of our conversation, you were mentioning the Ramadan Bayram, or Şeker Bayramı, as we sometimes refer. I mean, we Turks, as you know, are very act with our sort of feelings, and so celebrating a Bayram, a fest, without hugging, without kissing each other was really I think historic moment for all the country. I mean, I'm 50 years old, and it was the first Bayram, Ramadan Bayramı, that I couldn't kiss my elders' hands. I couldn't even visit my father. We were living in separate places, so because he was in sort of house curfew because he was over 65. So it was really touchy. I mean, once in a life moment, and also it was very sad for me not to be able to attend to funerals of my beloved friends, because the funerals were only allowed to take place with like 10 or 15 people, and even also the marriages, as you know, probably similar in your cities. In our municipality, only the couple and their very close family people were allowed to attend to the marriage celebration. So these were, I mean, like the social distancing were sort of a bit difficult for us to accept and to live, and those I think were the touchy moments that I witnessed in my personal experience.
Ich glaube, dass diese Eindrücke tatsächlich sehr tiefgehend sind.
I believe these impressions really do run deep, particularly the lack of contact between the generations that has been forced on us, the restrictions to be able to practice one's religious faith, be it Christian, Jewish, or the Muslim faith. These are things that, be it in Easter or during Ramadan or the Pesach, Passover, these are things that people won't forget irrespective of their religion. And yet the signs of hope that you've talked about, how people have looked after their neighbors, the volunteers have been out, the religious communities that have committed to civic duties, these are signs of hope. So let me address a different point perhaps and poll your views. There is the old saying that, a crisis also brings opportunities with it. We here notice that the wish for a stronger digitization of business world and of the world in general is becoming more important, like the technology we are using here for our video conference or phone conferences. We notice how important it is for digitization. Some of the citizens here are calling to make greater use of this technology going forward, for example, for environmental reasons, to use less short-haul flights or reduce them to a minimum, and instead use these technologies. Perhaps you could comment on what lessons have been learned or opportunities have been identified from the current situation, be it economic or political.
Dann frage ich mal Richtung USA direkt.
So let me ask Philadelphia directly. What opportunities or challenges do you see from this, or lessons learned going forward?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So I think we see many opportunities. One of the things we are actually, in terms of economic recovery, we're working within a 4R framework, which is respond, restart, recharge, and reimagine. And so we see this as an opportunity not to go back to where we were, but to reimagine what Philadelphia can be. And we've seen that in a number of ways. In terms of our schools, I think that our schools were not equipped for digital learning in terms of Philadelphia's public schools. And we actually received a donation from the CEO of Comcast, which is our large cable company, national cable company that is headquartered in Philadelphia. He donated, I think, $5 million in Chromebooks, and so now students throughout the city have access. The same with, although we have many people who've still not come back to work, we've gone over to the other side of the curve, but I think we're not where you are yet in terms of we still haven't reopened daycares or schools. We actually will be going back to having more businesses being able to open on June 5th. So we see opportunities, but we don't yet know if the schools will open even in September. And I think that there are a lot more opportunities in terms of using technology to even have a hybrid model in terms of schooling, because we also know that any of our cities may experience another surge, and we may need to close back down again or close some things. So there are a lot of opportunities in terms of technology, and also just a lot of strong partnership. The corporate community and government and nonprofits have all collaborated very, very closely together in terms of meeting the different needs in our city. And certainly we've looked to the international community and especially to Europe, because you've gone through everything just a few weeks before us.
Gibt es Dinge, die aus Mailänder Sicht?
Are there things that from the Milan point of view or from the Escogir point of view where you would say, these are things that we now got used to, but that we wish to now offensively move forward as something for the future?
Yes, thank you, Lord Mayor. I can go ahead with the experience of Milan, building on what the colleague from Philadelphia was saying. Definitely, there was a huge leap forward on the digital services in the city. The mayor made it very clear throughout the crisis that the municipality with its own 15,000 employees would give a good example in terms of smart working and digitalization. And we went from a few hundred people that were used to do some part of their work through smart working to 7,000 in a matter of a few weeks. So it was very important as a learning curve for the municipality. The services like certificate services and these type of things were able to basically function close to 100% online. The citizens appreciated the effort and they were very collaborative. So certainly we are closing today our digital week, which this year has been digital, really very much digital. So we saw a lot of experiences that I'm sure will be treasured in the future. The second aspect that I wanted to raise with respect to our experience is definitely the themes related to sustainability. We saw a deep change in the way people saw their own city, better air quality because of less pollution by cars and everything. The need for more space for the physical distancing. So we are working even more intensively than before to a new way of moving around the city, light mobility, sustainable mobility, encouraging walking and cycling, and rethinking about the urban spaces for restaurants, bars, social venues that will need far more space to function during the summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. During this crisis, first of all, of course, we also increased our digital performance as the municipality to prevent physical contact with documents from external units and institutions. Documents were scanned and distributed electronically, and citizens are encouraged to use online services. Also, as the municipality, we had to, because there has been some times of curfews, and we used these curfew times in a positive manner to do those things that has to be done regarding transportation, etc. The renovation issues, etc. And also, one of the main problems of Turkey is political polarization. And in this, during this crisis, we had also the opportunity to work with those institutions which, in the past, we hadn't had chance to work with. In coming to people's lives, I guess what we learned, or what we really had the experience, is the value, how precious is freedoms in our lives. Freedom to travel, freedom to visit each other, freedom to go to a restaurant. You understand me? Now we learned how it was valuable in our lives. Also, the value of solidarity between people, between cities, between countries. You understand me? Like the meeting that we're now having now. This is also important, and also. From a Eskişehir perspective, but probably it's similar in your cities too. People have come to this point that by taking their personal responsibilities, individual responsibilities, how they can be how can they have an influence on the greater case, like washing hands, which is very important. It's simple but important. How you obey the rule of washing your hands, disinfection, etc. How it would have an impact on the health of the whole society. This has become, I think, an important notion in people's lives. And lastly, I would like to mention that I guess we also learned how important is the resources that we're using, how important is agriculture, the food safety and security, because in normal times, sometimes we don't really care these issues, but now, because we cannot make import or export nowadays, many countries are having problems in terms of starting with with agricultural products, but even masks. I mean, as we have all experienced. So how it's important to produce, how it's important to save the nature, the security of the guarantee of the sustainability of those products. I think many people, institutions, governments have come to this point to sort of realize the importance of freedom, solidarity, resources, nature, etc. This is how I can summarize. Thank you.
Ja, vielen Dank.
Many thanks. For these statements and positions. Before I move on to the last set of questions, let me just comment as follows on an impression I had this morning from our colleagues in Birmingham and Guangzhou, our sister cities in southern China and England. I was told from them that the first trade fair that the Frankfurt Trade Fair is organizing in China will actually be taking place. It's going to be called Babies and Strollers, so products for infants. So there's evidently optimism as regards the toddlers being particularly strong and resilient against the virus, and therefore, a trade fair can kick off with commerce, with toys and appliances for the children. So I asked my colleague in Birmingham, we as Frankfurters always have a German Frankfurt Christmas market in Birmingham, which is actually now much larger than the one we have here in Frankfurt ourselves. And I asked her whether it would be taking place this year or not, and she said, well, she certainly hopes so. So I'd like to hear from you. What do you think it's going to look like going forward? You in Milan, for example. We in Frankfurt have decided that now in October we're going to be hosting our International Book Fair after all. It was a great struggle to get it through. The state of Hessen helped us a lot. Italy is traditionally our trade fair partner for the book fair. Traditionally, people from Italy are our main clients, greatest participants. When are we going to be able to do things again together? Mrs. Howard, you in Philadelphia, the US has always been a great role model for us. And, we in Frankfurt, we always think of ourselves as the most American city here with our different melting pot mentalities and our notion of, being able to make it whatever. Will you or your colleagues or the Lord Mayor in Philadelphia be able to come over in October for the German-American Day of Friendship? And of course, Mr. Çakıözer, as the representative of the city of Eskişehir, the largest group of the population of Frankfurt is, of course, people of Turkish origin, and many of them are just waiting to be able to visit their families in Turkey. And I've heard that maybe there'll be an easing, possibly, of restrictions coming this summer. Do you have a message for our population members of Turkish descent as to how things may turn out in the summer for them? Who would like to begin?
I can go first, Lord Mayor, since you have evocated my land first. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I think it's very important for us to keep our ambitions very high, but at the same time, we need to be realistic as the danger is still, unfortunately, not under our purview in sense of controlling and everything. We feel that the summer will be an important period for being able to welcome back the tourists. We hope will receive tourists from Europe and from outside. And I think if everyone is disciplined and we follow the rules of physical distancing and protection, I think we will all be able to enjoy a very different summer, of course, but nonetheless a summer that has people moving around and enjoying the different places. So this will be the first test. In our case, we are looking into mid-June to see if things can go ahead as planned. We will have events in the city according to the rules, and so after.
Ich habe jetzt nochmal den Kontakt, den Anschluss zu der.
Sorry, I seem to have lost the link to Signora Beria. We can see you, but we can't hear you again. You were starting to talk about the plans for the summer and thereafter, and then we lost you line about 30 seconds ago. Would you like to try again, please?
Jetzt sehe ich Sie wieder.
Yeah. Just sorry about this again. It was just to say that we will have steps in front of us that we will follow in order to maintain our relationship. We hope we will be able to really celebrate our 50th anniversary of sistership with Frankfurt before the end of the year. And we have a future of collaboration. So we'll take it step by step. This is our motto for the recovery strategy. We'll take it step by step and be sure to reach the goals that we have. Thank you very much, Mr. Lord Mayor.
Dann war die Frage mit dem deutsch-amerikanischen Freundschaftstag.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nein.
No, I was asking you my little question about, you are invited to come here for the German-American Friendship Day in October. Do you think such events relating to international cooperation will actually be able to take place, or are you much more cautious on this matter?
Lord Mayor, I would love to be able to do that, and I know that our mayor would love to be able to do that. I think I would echo my colleague in Milan's comments that we're sort of taking a day-by-day approach as well, and certainly things are changing very dramatically. We really look to the state in terms of guidance for reopening, and we just learned last week that we would be going from the red phase to the yellow phase on June 5th. So we are optimistic that things are going very much in the right direction. International travel will probably be light for this year, just because we do need to focus a lot on the recovery and the economic recovery and just the recovery generally of our city, but that does not diminish the importance for sure of our relationships. If anything, we feel that these international relationships and our relationships with the sister cities are more important than ever, because certainly what this pandemic has shown us is that this happened to everyone, to every country in the world, and that we are all more connected than ever. And so I think that it will be some time before larger events and travel pick up the way it happened before. But our entire international team is still on board and doing things virtually until we can actually get on a plane and visit and see each other in person. So thank you. And thank you again for the opportunity today. Although I cannot see you all, it's been wonderful to hear your voices.
Herr Kakin-Oeser, meine Frau hat
Mr. Kakin-Oeser, my wife, was hoping for us to go on holiday to the Black Sea coast in July, and I booked to go to Bielek in August. Was that rather over eager of myself, or should I nurture some hopes in this regard?
Lord Mayor, before getting into this topic, I would like to mention one issue. Professor Bücherschen, our mayor, in his letter to you, as you remember, has mentioned that this epidemic will change our world in many respects, the way we live, the way we produce, the way we work. And we strongly believe that when it's over, we will start talking about a new world order. And this teleconference now is a very mini module of the new world order that I guess we will be experiencing. And we really hope that in this new world order will consist of values rather than power. But now, I mean, our priority would be to keep our people safe and secure, I mean, during the crisis. So in relation with this wishes of our mayor, of course, we want to host our friends from Germany, from Italy, from United States, in Turkey, in Eskişehir. We love, I mean, you know, the Turkish hospitality better than me, I guess. But of course, our priority should be to make ourselves healthy, safe, and secure. So we have to obey the rules. We have to abide by the rules, and we really hope that. Also, we want to visit. My mother lives in Hamburg for years, so I really miss her a lot. I would love to visit her too. She's alone there in Hamburg. So we also want to visit Italy, Germany, United States, and other parts of the world. Hope those days will come back. But in my opinion, and in many experts' opinion, it's not that much soon. And I really would love to send our best wishes and Mayor Bücherschen's best wishes to not only the Turkish people living in Germany, but all the German people, the Italian friends, the American brothers and sisters. Really, I mean, with our solidarity feelings, we would like to share. These are difficult times, but as both our distinguished guest from Milan and Philadelphia mentioned, the aftermath is a different world. We don't know how, I mean, this world would have a shape, but we are sure that one of the main principles of this new world order would be solidarity between people, between cities, between countries.
Das waren sehr schöne Worte von Ihnen.
That was a marvelous words from you, and I'm sure we all really found them marvelous. And we, I'm sure, have never given up hope that we will learn from the current crisis, that we live in a world of greater community and solidarity, even if we have to keep distance from each other and maintain our hygiene rules. But sometimes age helps in this respect, because, you know, the old washing and cleansing rituals from religion such as, of course, the Islam or Judaism or Christianity are proving their worth again today, showing how meaningful they are for us all. And I would like to bring this little conference to a close by thanking you so very much for being with us today. I would ask you to give our greatest wishes to your city councils from here, from Frankfurt, from our city council. And I would like to bid you farewell for today with great respect and wish you the best going forward. Thank you.
Und teşekkürler natürlich.
Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. Thank you and congratulations. All the best to you in Frankfurt.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Lord Mayor.